The ideas, the innovations are the most scarce thing, in the industry. Money is not the most valuable thing, but like real innovation is. We need all these builders with new narratives.
So Web3 will never die, and there will be more and more new narratives coming out.
Be honest to yourself. When we're building something, we always try to convince others this is the future.
Bitcoin ecosystem is still at the early stage. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to OnePiece Labs Web3 Talk. My name is Dafu Gao. I'm the partner at OnePiece Labs. Today, we have the honor of inviting Jeff from Merlin Chain. So, hey, Jeff.
Yeah, what's up?
All good, all good. Yeah. So let's get started. So can you introduce yourself a little bit and also more about Merlin?
Yeah, of course. So, Merlin is a EVM chain for Bitcoin and Bitcoin assets, which was launched in February this year. And me, myself, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I had 10 years in Web2, building two Web2 companies. First one was starting from 2012, and then that company grew to 2,000, 3,000 employees, and then started another
Wow.
gaming company, metaverse company in 2019. It was like Web2 metaverse, not Web3 metaverse, but yeah. So I had these two experiences before, which is pretty cool. And then I entered the Web3 last year because I was attracted by ordinals. I mean, I bought my first Bitcoin about like 11, 12 years ago, but I never thought me myself going into crypto. So last year, the Bitcoin ordinal space was like really special, and at that time, I mean, not many people are into that. It's like a lot of bias, a lot of debate. But for us, like for me, I mean, to inscribe something on Bitcoin, on the most decentralized network for the first time, is intriguing. So we've done like some dApps on Bitcoin Layer 1, and then we launched Merlin, which is the Bitcoin Layer 2.
Amazing. Cool. Wow, your background is pretty impressive. And meanwhile, I'm going to mention about buying the first Bitcoin about 11 years ago. So I'm wondering what triggers you into that? Where did you learn about Bitcoin at that time?
Yeah, so the major investor of my first company is IDG. So they invested
Oh,
in Coinbase and Ripple, back in 2012, and their partner just introduced me about Bitcoin, the white paper. I mean, I'm majored in poli science and computer science. So I think Bitcoin is a combination of politics, sociology, and also with computer science. So it's tech plus culture. So at that time, of course, I'm attracted. I'm a nerd. I never own any physical property. I don't have a house. I never bought a car. I don't have any watch or anything. So yeah, so I only love digital stuff, and of course, Bitcoin was the only thing like I love for the past 12 years.
yeah, makes sense. Wow. Yeah, so that is why, ladies and gentlemen, so finding the right investor to backing you up is very important. Yeah, you can learn a lot of new things from them. And a fun story about me. So actually, I learned about Bitcoin about 10 years ago, 2015. At that time, one of my friend is kind of like a blockchain OG, and he told me about Bitcoin. He used 200 Bitcoin to purchase a 1987 Rolls-Royce Silver. So at that time, yeah, I learned about, hey, this is a virtual coin stuff. But however, frankly speaking, I'm not tech background, so I didn't learn too much about it. So that is why I missed it at that time. Yeah. Oh man, cool. Great. So let's get back to Merlin. Yeah, I'm wondering for the name Merlin, is there any story behind it? So because we know that Merlin is from the story of the like Asian. So why do you name this project Merlin?
Yeah, so I think unlike other teams, we our team are really spontaneous and random. We didn't plan anything. Like we didn't have any idea about Merlin. I mean, last year, because we're building a lot of dApps on layer one, and then every time we're trying to add new functions, we're trying to add more utilities. We find out it's impossible to do that on layer one. If anybody tells you they can do that on layer one, they're lying because like Satoshi cannot even do that. So at that time, we're trying to build a layer two, which we don't have any clue. We have like zero idea, what's the branding or name. So I think 2 weeks before we launched the mainnet, 2 weeks, we were having a work trip, with our employees, co-workers in Bali Island. We were having fun. So at that time, we're playing the board game Avalon. The Avalon game, it has for Merlin, and we thought, it's
Yeah.
magical. It says integrity, right? The old wizard with integrity. So we want something to be fun, to be magical, and also with integrity. So we picked the name Merlin, and yeah, I think that's the whole story about it.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I myself is a big fan of Avalon too. So kind of like Avalon is quite kind of like the board game like Sha, right?
Yeah.
And but it is fast and everyone can get involved. I think this is definitely a great name. Perfect choice. And meanwhile, you mentioned about the layer one, layer two. So frankly speaking, at that time, at the beginning of this year, I believe that inscriptions and ordinals were also very popular. So I'm wondering why didn't you do those?
Yeah, the thing is, we are always trying to push the edge. So if people are doing something, we want to do something different. So for example, last year on Bitcoin Layer 1, people are, like doing all kinds of fork of BRC20. So they have like ARC20, ORC20, XRC20. They have all kinds of, fungible token standards. And I think that's just useless. Like we don't add any more utilities, but just, forking stuff, printing money, and wish some people will buy buy a token from you, which is not what I believe in crypto. So this year, lots of people are doing on layer one, but we thought building layer two, adding smart contracts, adding all these DeFi functions to Bitcoin assets is important. Even at that time, when we launched our mainnet in February, I think everyone in East Denver, I mean, it's not a Bitcoin conference, but in East Denver, they're talking about us. And at that time, it was very, very controversial. We use EVM for Bitcoin assets, which is politically not correct. And also, we have the MPC bridge to custodial, all users of Bitcoin. So, at that time, it was very controversial. Everybody was debating, they think Merlin is like a giant monster that eating all people's Bitcoin at that time. And now, after 8 months, if you look at all these Bitcoin layer twos, they are using the same structure, same technology that Merlin used 8 months ago. So I think, we are just a team trying to push, the boundaries, trying to do the new thing, crazy stuff. So yeah, so I think we're just trying to be different. And eventually you find out, building more protocols on Bitcoin layer one is just not gonna make it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So yeah, that is why. So a lot of Web3 builders and the founders trying to innovate on the technologies or business models. So we hope to bring something new to this world, and also, of course, bring more Web3 users into Web3. So yeah, actually, when you mentioned about East Denver, so we went to East Denver this year and we hosted a huge after party there. Yeah, indeed, everyone was talking about Merlin. You guys rock. Yeah. Yeah, great. Congratulations. And meanwhile, I'm wondering, so when you started the Merlin, so what was the biggest challenge for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is everything is new. Everything is new in different ways. So in a tech kind of way, people are like just struggling to find a way to get Bitcoin secured for all these layer twos. And also we are wrapping all these BRC20 ordinals and runes. So all these Bitcoin assets, we need, to have liquidity for them on layer two. So like all of these are new. We are the first one to do it. We are the first one to make it work. And also, if you check the data, our bridge has, dealt with over 20 billion US dollar value of Bitcoin, which is like the highest after Coinbase and Binance. So with that kind of volume, it's another story. If you're dealing with, I don't know, like $2 million, it's a like small thing, even though the tax structure is the same, but the volume you are dealing with makes a huge difference. So if you're dealing with $2 billion, $20 billion, the challenge is much bigger, and we cannot ask anyone because we are the first one. We're at the front line. So I mean, people ask us about how could you deal with that? But so we're the first one there. We have to deal with all kinds of uncertainty at that time. I think that's very hard. And also to build something like Bitcoin Layer 2, it's a new narrative to users. So we have to spend like a lot of time to explain to the community that what is Bitcoin Layer 2? Why are you building a Bitcoin Layer 2? Like what does that do good to Bitcoin ecosystems or users? So when you're dealing with all of that kind of questions, you are the first one to educate the market. And now, if you're talking to more VCs or exchanges or users or builders, they have a better understanding about Bitcoin Layer 2. But at that time, we are the first one to educate people. So I think if you're trying to build something new, if you're trying to take all the credits, of course, the challenge is going to be very, very big for you.
Definitely. So yeah, as a innovator, yeah, at the beginning of the journey, there will be a lot of problems and difficulties out there. I'm pretty glad that you guys overcome all of them. So meanwhile, talking about this, yeah, you mentioned about 20 bill. So I'm wondering, like, for Merlin, how did you guys get so high TVL? I remember during Stanford this year, you guys had 2 billion or something, if I remember correctly. And how did you get so high TVL at such a short time? Was there any unique campaign or like anything that worked pretty well?
I think, this is kind of the question that very few people believe me, but I'm giving the absolutely 100% honest answer is, I think it's because of, few reasons. First is the credit we built on Bitcoin Layer 1. Because many people didn't know me, didn't know us before, but actually we've been building the Bitcoin Layer 1 for about a year. So we have lots of crazy like community members from day one. We built Bitmap Metaverse. You can see my Zoom name is still Bitmap. We've built BRC 420. We built recursivers. So all kinds of products we built before has given us credit. So when we launch this on day one, all these users from Bitcoin Layer 1, they deposit. They don't know any other Bitcoin Layer 2s. They only know Merlin. And and also like another proof is on the first day of our mainnet, I was actually having dinner at my friend's house because it was Chinese New Year. We launched Merlin on Chinese New Year, so I didn't even plan to have this kind of FOMO. My team member texted me, said, okay, in 1 hour we have 81 million TVL. I said, what? Like in an hour? So I have to get a taxi to get back home and to post this data on Twitter. So like all of this is kind of like beyond our imagination. The second thing I think is to have the good timing. Some people say my success is because of luck. I'm not saying I mean every successful people when they do interviews they say luck. I think this is true. If you're doing this in the right timing, of course it's going to be much easier for you to get all these numbers you want. So, but another tricky thing is you can never calculate the right timing, right? Because everybody is trying to find the right timing, but the truth is you just have to go all in. We pick the time randomly. We didn't do any, we didn't have any campaign. We didn't have any marketing campaign. We didn't. There's zero KOL, like spreading news about staking on Merlin at all on Twitter. So I think that just all happens in a very short period of time. It's because we have credits on from the users of Layer 1, and also we have the right timing, which is 1 Bitcoin, coming from 48K to 70K. So we chose the right time to do so.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing, amazing. Yeah. So that is why for all the builders and founders out there for the Web3 industry, actually do not stop building. So always keep running, keep fighting, because you never know which trend you're gonna catch up on. And that is why most of the successful projects cannot be bold like within 1 day, or let's say out of like totally pure luck or something. So you have to keep building because Web3 is not only a technology game, it's also about community. So you have to build your consensus with all the three Web3 users. So that is very important. Great. Thank you for sharing, Jeff. And meanwhile, let's go to our next question. So we have talked about the challenge. Then I'm wondering what is the Merlin's biggest tech advantage right now?
I think, to be honest, on the tech part, right now, what we're doing is a EVM-compatible chain for Bitcoin. I think that part is just like very, very lack of technical challenge because so many builders have done that before. So I'm not going to like elaborate on that more. But the thing is, the ability to bridge all Bitcoin and Ordinals, Runes, and the BRC20 to a EVM chain, that is harder than everybody thinks. Even until now, Merlin is the only one who can bridge all these different types of assets from layer 1 to layer 2. So I think that's the first thing you have to do, because if you don't have assets on your chain, you're not going to have liquidity. If you check all the stacks, on Merlin and on other Bitcoin layer 2s, you can find the difference is huge. We are like 10 times, 20 times higher than all of them. And also, I think the next is about like to make sure your network is trust minimized. Right now, because we don't have smart contract on Bitcoin layer 1, so it's not going to be like trustless, to be honest. But how to make this trust minimized? How can user bridging and bridge out very, very easily? How can people trust your network? Because we have zero security issues before, which many people thought we were going to have a huge rug pull at first time. So yeah. And also, I think, when we're having the roadmaps for the future, now we are working with all kinds of teams. We're working with the Bitcoin OS. We are deploying the BitVM on layer 1, on testnet and on mainnet. So I think in the next step is about to having this kind of trustless bridge, to having this trustless mechanism to have, to let users know, I can bridge from here to here and nobody's going to multi-sig my assets. But the Bitcoin layer 1 is going to, to secure my assets in the future. So I think, for stage 1, for 2024, Merlin has done enough, but still there are lots of unknown challenges in the future because Bitcoin ecosystem just started. People think, and right now I think Bitcoin ecosystem is kind of, a low point. People cannot find new narratives. But to me, I think, it's just a start. Look at like Ethereum, right? They had Ethereum like mainnet like 10 years ago. They have ICO about like 6 years ago, and then DeFi about 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So Bitcoin has just started, but with this kind of like fully diluted value of Bitcoin, I think the potential is huge.
That is why so more and more I saw more and more Web3 builders getting to the Bitcoin ecosystem because when you consider the market cap of Bitcoin and Ethereum, actually Bitcoin is always the number one. So there's no way the Bitcoin ecosystem cannot be huger than the Ethereum for sure. And thank you. You also answered my next question, which is Merlin's some future steps. So in here, would you like to add more about your future projection of the Merlin and what kind of new technology you're going to embed? And were there any like a new strategy or new functions or new DApp you're going to onboard in Merlin?
Yeah, I think just like in a short answer is we are doing in 3 directions. First is BTC5. So Merlin is like the biggest player in the BTC5 right now. We have billions of dollars coming from Merlin to other chains, to 20 plus EVM chains like Scroll, Nina, and future movement, Bearer Chain, Core. So I think BTC5, and also we're working with Babylon, Soft, Bedrock, Lombard with all these staking, restaking protocol. So I think BTC5 is one direction we have to go for because the potential is huge with all this kind of liquidity. The second is about the retail side. It's about the Bitcoin assets because we are coming from Bitcoin layer 1, so we care about Bitcoin layer 1 assets like BRC20 and Runes. So if you look at data right now, in the past 6 months, we have about 2.5 billion trading volume for spots on DEX and about $3 billion trading volume for perps on chain. So I think bring more liquidity, bring more assets, launch pads, pump fund kinds of dApps to have more retail users can enjoy the fun of Bitcoin assets is one of the most important thing we are going to do. And the third thing is we have to find mass adoption. Bitcoin is so small. Bitcoin ecosystem is even much smaller. So that's why we have invested over 15 different dApps on Telegram, to expand the ecosystems for Bitcoin. Because if we are working with the current users, I think it's going to be very, very hard because the user number is not going, it's not growing fast enough. So we have to find the mass adoption. And also Bitcoin is a big name. It's a big brand for all these Web2 users because, like, I mean, like my grandparents probably don't know Solana, but they, of course, they have heard of Bitcoin. So yeah, I think 3, BTC5, Bitcoin assets, and also mass adoption.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, again, for all the Web3 founders and the builders out there, I believe Merlin is a very amazing ecosystem to build on. So if you want to do something with Merlin, please pay attention to the previous three narratives that Jeff just mentioned. And talking about BTC5, so that was pretty funny because I joined a Twitter space about 1 month ago about BTC5. Frank speaking, I learned about BTC5 like about half a year ago. So at that time, BTC5 was not so popular because I believe there was some technology issue or something. But it seems like BTC5 is pretty bullish right now in Asia, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that is cool. Yeah, I hope we can also have more BTC5 projects joining our batch too. So in here, ladies and gentlemen, so OnePiece Labs and Merlin and also Franklin Templeton Digital Assets and also OKX Ventures, we have a BTC ecosystem batch happening right now. So we're gonna have another one, I believe, coming very soon next year. So if you happen to be a BTC founder, BTC ecosystem builder, feel free to apply for it. And meanwhile, for Jeff, so what kind of a projection do you have on our current batch?
Yeah, I think like I said before, Bitcoin is so early, so of course we need to have more batches to get more builders on board. I think for the past 3 to 6 months, probably a lot of builders like in their lifetime, first time they heard about Bitcoin ecosystem. They heard about Bitcoin, of course, but not Bitcoin ecosystems. So so I think for batch one, we're going to have some amazing builders. We're going to have some very sophisticated dApps that can go on mainnet, that can have real growth, have real utilities for users. Like when I am looking at all these dApps, like I always ask myself, like if I'm a user, and of course I'm a user, will I use their dApp and for what? And that is the question that all builders need to ask themselves. Because imagine you are a user, like what kinds of utilities or benefits that your product can bring to you. I mean, that's just my mindset because I was a Web2 builder for a long time. So yeah, so I think for batch one, we're going to have some amazing builders. And I think, in the next half year and a year, we're going to have more and more builders because right now, I think Bitcoin is one of the most, promising direction in the whole Web3 industry.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also looking forward to getting more amazing projects joining our batch. Great. Cool. So my next question is about Bitcoin ecosystem itself. So have you seen any potentially promising technology you think that should be good for the Bitcoin ecosystem? Can you share with us?
Yeah, I think to me the most promising tech is VM and Opcat, because you can do whatever you want on the EVM side. That part has already been proven. Like I joked about that before last year, saying like Ethereum is the test net for Bitcoin because everything they have been tested on Ethereum. So at that part, I really don't encourage people to build something different than EVM because EVM is very easy to use. It has lots of builders and developers, and also I think the core spirit of blockchain is to build on top of each other. We don't want to build new wheels every day. That is just not like right in my perspective. But with Opcat and BitVM, that can allow builders to build stuff in a trustless way. So right now, you don't see many Bitcoin layer twos. You don't see many Bitcoin extension layers. It's because you have to build like the bridge that Merlin has done before. You have to have this kind of security mechanism to monitor every assets in and out. It's trust me, it's a huge it's a very very big like big burden on us. It's very very hard to build this in a very safe way. But if we have BitVM or Opcat, I mean there are two different things. BitVM is trying to do something on the current Bitcoin layer 1 network to secure them just like Ethereum layer 2s, and Opcat is to add this new kind of smart contract thing on layer 1 so that you can secure your network in a much easier and costless way. So if we have either of them can work for Bitcoin layer 1, we can have a trustless and trustless layer 2 for Bitcoin. And at that time, many more builders will come in because they don't have a huge team, they don't have the experience dealing with lots of money, but if they just follow the steps, they can build something trustless and safe. So I think that is the key part right now in the next 2 to 4 years.
Definitely. And I happened to join a Bitcoin engineering or technology meetup like 2 months ago in Bay Area. And at that time, there was this friend mentioning about Opcat. and he said definitely there are huge potential for OpCat on Bitcoin. Yeah, I was very impressed because I myself was not a tech pro or like a geek or something, so I do not have tech background. So that was definitely something new I learned, and I heard from him that OpCat hasn't been improved by the community, but I believe it will be the future because it sounds like it can definitely do a lot of things on Bitcoin. That is great. Cool. So my next question is a little bit tricky because I want to dig deeper into Merlin's success. So I'm wondering, can you, even though you told us that the success beginning of Merlin was a luck, however, I'm wondering for your journey of Merlin, have you seen some like a really working marketing campaign or like a community campaign you'd like to share with us?
I think it's not about the tricks. It's about the fundamentals. So I mean, I've said that to many builders, on various kinds of hackathon or like panel, but very few builders can actually follow this. First is to be honest to yourself. When we're building something, we always try to convince others this is the future. But if you look at this as a third party, as outsider, you can find lots of these ideas are just, to be honest, like illusions that built by people but not gonna use by people. So be honest with yourself. Be a user. Like I use Merlin every day. I use all these DApps every day because like if I'm a user, I have to love this first, and then I can trust this. I can spread these words to other people, and also I can improve this product because if I'm not a user, like how can I know like if there are any new stuff I can do or improvement I can do with this. So if you look at all these exchanges, marketplace, the apps, you always find something hard to use. But if you find the founder, the team is actually user of their products, they improve them very, very fast. But if they're not the user, you can see their team is very slow, their team is very stubborn, and they don't get what users want. And also the second thing is to hustle, because we're not, like most of us are not, big guys, from Wall Street, have a huge success before. We're not invested by all these tier one VCs, so we have to hustle more. So like today, like even though today I have three AMA and Twitter Space, including this one. So from last year to this year, every day I had all kinds of AMA to users, even with only like 20, 30 people in the Twitter Space. I'm always with passion. I'm talking to them, solve their problems, discuss all kinds of things with them. We don't have a question list. No, we just talk random things to share your ideas on daily basis. So be a user and also be close to your community. I think if any builder can do both of them, 100% he can be somehow successful in his own area.
Wow, definitely. Well, so I can definitely tell why Merlin becomes successful. Yeah, it happens for a reason for sure. Yeah, yeah. Great job, man. Yeah. And meanwhile, so let's get to our next question. So let me see. Yeah, so actually, is there any like exciting news about Merlin like in the next several months or something you'd like to share with us, like new fundraising or new technology or new hackathon, new event, anything you'd like to share with us for the audience to catch up with Merlin?
Yeah, I think for the three directions we were talking before, I think all of them will have some updates on the weekly basis. So I mean, first for the Bitcoin assets, we're going to have more dApps for Bitcoin native assets. We're going to have pump fund kind of like dApps on Merlin in a very short period of time. And also for the mass adoption, all these Telegram dApps are probably going to be live in a month. So yeah, just follow our Twitter, and we're having the AMA Twitter space. We're having all kinds of updates on these dApps, on daily basis and also on weekly basis. So yeah, I think building is not like a goal there. We are going to catch that goal. I don't think that's building. Building is to have all kinds of discussions, all kinds of new information on daily basis, and improve ourselves on daily basis. So probably if we're going to have podcasts next month, you will hear different things from us because we want to learn and improve every day.
Yeah, let's grow and move every day. Perfect, perfect. And for everyone, please follow Merlin, and you can find their website and Twitter in here. Cool. Great. Okay. So then my last question will be mainly for our audience. So do you have any suggestion for our Bitcoin eco builders or founders who are watching this video?
Yeah, I have a lot of to make it short. I think, uh, like I said, to build something different, because when we're looking, like I'm reading, decks every day, all kinds of decks, all kinds of new dApps, and you can find out they're building something similar. I'm not saying, building similar things are wrong, but it's gonna be very hard. So, like, if you're building a Bitcoin DEX. I mean, come on, there are lots of DEX, like
Yeah.
mature DEX builders in the space. If you're building a Bitcoin landing, like for all of this have already proven Ethereum infrastructure before, it's going to be very easy for everyone to fork. So
Yeah.
when it's easy for everyone to fork, it's going to be very, very hard for you to go to market to have growth because the competition is going to be very hard. Like Bitcoin restaking, like there are lots of teams trying to do Bitcoin restaking, but Merlin, Soft, Lombard, we all have billions of TVLs right now. Like how can you grow from zero to billions of TVLs in such a short period of time? So I think build something different is first to avoid like meaningless competition. And if you're trying to build like a stable coin for Bitcoin, DEX, lending, like if you're trying to do all of these old ideas, I think it's gonna be very hard. So build something different is trying to get the real narrative for Bitcoin. So if you're a user, you are like looking at the Uniswap, the Bitcoin version of Uniswap, the Bitcoin version of MakerDAO, you lose interest, right? Because there's no hype there anymore. You already know like what's going on there. But if you have a new narrative and a native narrative for Bitcoin, I think that's something people might be get interested in because they haven't seen that before. And also, if we want to grow Bitcoin ecosystems, bigger than Ethereum, we need all these builders with new narratives. So yeah, I think building building different stuff is going to be beneficial for you and also for the users as well. But that is actually the hardest part because the ideas, the innovations are the most scarce thing in the industry. Money is not the most valuable thing, but like real innovation is the hardest thing to pursue.
Great. Wow. Thank you for the advice and suggestion. Definitely building something new, something different is very important. And in here, so even though that Bitcoin ecosystem became very popular starting from the beginning of last year, back in APAC at that time. However, I would say globally, Bitcoin ecosystem is still at the early stage. So that is why there are so many opportunities. So for all the Web3 founders out there, if you want to do something different, if you want to contribute to Bitcoin ecosystem, please do so and do more research and keep building. So do not just follow the trends blindly, okay? And like I said, so Merlin is definitely the best ecosystem for a Bitcoin ecosystem. So please do more research and see how you can contribute and work with Merlin Chain. Perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, so I think that's pretty much it for today's video, and I hope you have learned a lot from our guest, Jeff. And just FYI, so what we talk about today is not financial advice for you, and please always DYOR, do your own research, okay? So Web3 will never die, and there will be more and more new narratives coming out. And but however, right now, Bitcoin ecosystem is definitely a great one to go into. So please do more research and let's keep working and let's keep making the Web3 industry more and more successful and bringing more and more Web2 users into this. Great. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much. We will see you
Thank you.
next time.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. See you.